up, everyone? Welcome to Minorly Important, the podcast where we talk about minor league sports. I'm your host, Kevin Marlowe. I'm joined here by my co-hosts, Colin Scholl. Colin, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Just ready to talk about some sports, mainly soccer. So let's get it going.
All right. Now we're also joined here by Ryan Baker. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm great, Kevin. Thanks for asking. It's been a great week at work. For those of you watching, today is Thursday, and I'm ready to talk about football.
Ha ha ha.
And we are also joined here by Dylan Little. Dylan, how you doing, bud?
Hey, can't complain, man. Just, again, having a blast running after a couple 4-year-olds. Yeah, can't complain. Ready to talk about some sports. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. And then we are also joined here tonight by the head coach of Fort Wayne Football Club, Mike Avery. Mike, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. All right. So, Mike, you have been the head coach of Fort Wayne FC since its early days, since the beginning. How did you get there? What's the road that you've kind of taken from your early days of coaching all the way up to here now in USL League One?
Yeah, most of my background professionally has been in college soccer. I think I spent almost 30 years as a coach in college soccer. Really an incredible opportunity to get some meet a lot of really good people, work with great athletes, and work my way up that career ladder. I started off at a small college in the NAI right nearby in South Bend area. Bethel College was my first head coaching job. I was 24 years old and knew every single thing about coaching that you could possibly know. And then did that for a while and then bounced around as you do in a young part of your career. I was out in San Diego for a while at San Diego State, and then Cal State San Bernardino, a Division II school, and then had the chance to come back to the Midwest. I was born and raised in California, but my wife is from the Midwest, and so there's always been a strong pull back this way. An opportunity to come back and work at Notre Dame. I was at Notre Dame for almost 7 years as an assistant coach with Bobby Clark, who is a legendary coach in college soccer, probably the best I've ever been around. It was a great experience. Notre Dame is like Disneyland for athletics. You know, everything's painted gold. You know, and it's an incredible place. I went from Notre Dame to the University of Louisville, which was a really incredible opportunity for me professionally. You know, I worked for Bobby Clark, and then I had a chance to go work for another guy named Ken Lola, who was equally successful, but just on the younger end of the scale at the time. And so I guess in college basketball terms, it would be like working for Coach K for a long time and then going to work for like Brad Stevens or something like that. It was that kind of a switch. And so I felt like just a really incredible opportunity to go to another big name university and brand school and work there. And then after those two stops, I had a chance to come be the head coach at Valparaiso University, which was, to be honest with you, not really a job that was on my radar at the time. You know, I was in a position from where I was where if I was just patient, I would have been the next head coach at you name it, big school. I was in that pool. Notre Dame, Louisville, you wait your turn and you'll get the next big job. But my wife has been and still is the head volleyball coach at Valparaiso. And so it was a family opportunity to come and for both of us to coach at the same university, which really is almost unheard of. It just doesn't happen very often. And so, you know, for a lot of reasons, it was a great opportunity for me to build a program, to put to test all these things that I had learned from these great coaches, but also to work, you know, actually live in the same area code as my wife was an interesting thing for us because we've been bound, you know, coaches, you move around and you do a lot of things. And so it was a great family move. And so I spent 13 years as the head coach at Valparaiso. In 2019, just prior to COVID, Valpo was one of the first schools that you've seen quite a few of them now cut some sports because of some budget cuts. And so they could cut men's tennis and men's soccer were the two that they had chosen. So we had done really well as a program. It was a hard day. I walk into a meeting. I thought maybe I was getting a raise or a contract extension. And 5 minutes later, you walk out and you don't have a job anymore. And so it was kind of a harsh lesson in the business of athletics. But on the very same day that the program got cut, I got a call from Greg Mauk, who was the general manager of the newly formed Fort Wayne FC, and asked me if I was interested in coaching the team. And so I didn't accept it that day, but over the next month or so, we went through a process and I was weighing all my different options. And if I wanted to stay in college coaching, I would have had to have moved somewhere else in the country. And with my wife's situation, and we have 2 boys at home, and moving just wasn't a great option. So Fort Wayne was a great solution to that problem. And I really thought at the time, I'll be honest, it was just a bridge to get me some time, staying coaching, then figure out what comes next down the road. And it's turned into this 5-year thing, and all the different iterations of our move to the pro level. That was always the plan from the first day, but the timing of it, the people involved in it, things have shifted a little bit to where we are now, and so now we're in a really good spot and excited about what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I will say that from the moment that we got the pleasure of meeting you, because all of us have been on the Fort Wayne FC Drummers at some point, you've been very supportive of us, and I'm super glad that you got to stick around and continue coaching, and was very happy when I saw the announcement that you were returning as we moved into USL League One. How much is changing as far as are you expecting to bring any of the guys up from last year's team into this year, or is it going to be almost a completely new group of players?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. So it's there will be a lot of new players. I think that we are trying to work through some of the guys that were in the team last year, or maybe even in years past, not just last year. We've had conversations with a number of players. I'm not in a position tonight where I'm going to tell you what the roster is going to be, because we haven't done all the legal side of things with the contracts and whatnot. But as I said at the brand reveal the other night, like the answer is I hope that there's some players that are coming back, because I love the teams that we've had.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, look, obviously there's fan recognition of players, there's connections that are built, relationships that are built. And we've had really good players. And so of course we want to try and bring some back if it fits for them and if it fits for us.
Right. So were you surprised by the new logo, or were you are you in favor of it?
Yeah, I am in favor of it, and yes, I guess I was surprised by it initially. I've known about it for a long time.
Right.
Right.
I wasn't in on the design or the different pieces that went into it. I saw the couple of the final options, and I didn't have a vote, but I followed along in the process. But it's a great time for it to happen. If you're going to have a brand redo, to do it now at this stage in the club's history makes total sense. If you wait another year or 2 years, it's a much harder thing to do. And so starting now at a new level, new stadium, there's a lot of interesting new things that are going on right now. If we're going to do it, now's a great time to do it. And I think if you look across even soccer in our region of the country, we had a look that was very similar to everybody else. I mean, how many times when you guys are out there drumming was the team across the way wearing the same blue that we were wearing?
Yep.
It was very common. So there's a lot of reasons that went into it, and I don't want to speak to all of them, because I wasn't in the meetings.
Right.
But we do stand out now more in a way that I think is pretty cool.
Right.
And I do think this too, the crest itself, the logo itself, because I've seen it, looks amazing on gear. On the jersey, it looks really sharp and really classy on the gear. So I'm really in favor of it.
I like how simple it is. It's simple but artistic all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Dylan and I were at the brand reveal, and I know Dylan and I were blown away when we saw it.
Yes, sir.
What did you expect when you were walking in? Let me turn the tables on you guys. Did you think massive color change, brand change, name change? What were you expecting?
I thought they were going to bring more of the red out, because they had been using more of the red, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
in,
agreed.
Like promos and stuff like that. I thought they were going to tone back and make it just one shade of blue, instead of, like you can see in our old logo, the different blues there.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be more of a just that dark navy blue. Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a name change, honestly.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried, because like, what else would be a good name for a soccer team in Fort Wayne? Can't really roll any off the tongue.
Yeah,
I didn't think they were going to change the name. I thought they were going to add like a mascot or like.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a mascot edition would have been cool, but
And I think
Yeah.
all of those things have been discussed at some point in time. And, trying to hold on to the history that we already have, even though it's a short history, we still have some history already. We've established some things, but also move in a new direction and move forward. I think they did a great job. I think, again, when I look at it now, and look, change is hard for everybody,
Uh-huh.
and so and some people, look, I can read comments on social media too. There's some people that just don't like it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there's also a lot of people, when you look at it for a while and get used to it, you start to say, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Get over look, nobody's asking our opinion if we should change or not, right? So
Right.
change has happened. So now we should get
Right.
past that part of it and get on board with what's going on. And again, I really like it. As I said at the thing the other night, I feel like it's a little bit edgier. It's braver. It stands out a little bit more. So I'm on board with it. I really like it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited
me
to see
too.
it on the kits. I can't lie. I'm excited to see what
Yeah.
they're gonna look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen some hints in that direction, and it looks amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about
Awesome.
what you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do.
That's what
Yeah.
Scott was telling us at the
Mhm.
during his interview at the brand reveal. We can't wait to see him and are looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to that new stadium.
Me
Yes.
I mean,
too.
Mhm.
St.
Yeah,
Francis
absolutely.
and Bishop Dwenger were great, but having your own place that is yours with a locker room that is yours, I
Yeah.
mean, as a coach, that has to be just great to not
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
move all
Look,
of your stuff out.
every step again that we've taken the first few years at Dwenger were awesome. I mean, we had great, especially in the first year, the crowd support was amazing. And, people don't always understand, but when we played at home in a USL2 match, that was a much different experience than going on the road to a USL2. We would actually oftentimes travel more people than were in the home crowd. Our Three Rivers Regiment, you guys, people that would come and support us on the road, we would outgain the other team's crowd in these away stadiums. So the environment at home was much different than going on the road. And then when we went to St. Francis, I think the crowds really filled in, and the environment at St. Francis at Bishop D'Arcy Stadium was really intimate and a really fun place to play a game. They were great partners. The locker room setup for us was there. But again, to your point, it wasn't ours. So we
Right.
couldn't go in and paint or logo or do up the walls. We were guests in someone else's facility.
Right.
And so now to have this one more move and to move not only again, but to move into a palace. I mean, it'll be the best stadium in USL League One. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. And every time, like I'm not staying full time in Fort Wayne at the moment, but I'm in a couple times a week right now. And every time I drive past the site and I see it from the freeway, it's like here it comes out of the ground. You just see this thing starting to rise up out of the ground, and it gets more real every time you see it.
I pass it every day down the street that it's on, going to work
Okay,
and
yeah.
back, and it's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. And what great visibility from the freeway, and then when you see the scoreboard and the largest video board in the state or whatever it is. I don't remember the exact. I don't want to misquote all the
Second largest.
second largest.
In the
Thank you.
state.
Yeah,
But
Bigger than Lucas Oil.
it is.
what a
bigger than
cool
this one.
visual to see when you're driving
Yeah.
past on the freeway. Yeah.
I know when we had Scott on, he was like, for safety purposes, that the video board was not going to show the game on the
Yeah.
on the highway side.
That
But
makes sense.
yeah, no, that is going to be so cool. Just all the stuff that we've got to hear about that stadium. We cannot wait. We've talked with Scott and we're going to do a tour of it and show all the behind the scenes stuff, but we are so excited for that stadium.
Yeah, and I think
then-
what a great value add to the community in general.
Yeah.
Not just for our games, but for the other things that they can do there. Look, one thing I've learned being involved is, Mark Music and all the people that are over at Ruoff in our headquarters over there, and then Scott and his team, the people that we've brought on board in the last year. These are sharp individuals. They are going to do a really good job. I'm watching the work happen, and it's pretty impressive what they're pulling off.
Yeah. No. So your job, unlike a lot of minor league coaches, is a little different, as there will be international players on some, but like we've talked to hockey coaches and it's mostly Canada. We do have some from Europe, but you are literally looking at players from all over the globe.
Yeah.
How hard is it to shrink it down with that large of a player pool?
Yeah, you can get caught up. We were actually just talking about it on a recruiting call today. Is the worry is you can go down these rabbit holes and you could spend this whole day in YouTube videos or other highlight packages. We've got a software package called Y Scout where I can actually go in and watch pretty much any league in the world. And so you can start tracking players and teams and following down and stats and data and metrics and all the stuff that you can do. And everywhere in the globe they play soccer. So there's a lot of people that want to come and play on our team. And so we're trying to be really thoughtful, not waste time, but not turn away from an opportunity that might be there too. So willing to do all the work. And so myself, Oliver Gage, who's our new sporting director, our staff on the technical side, there's about 5 or 6 of us that are full-time engaged right now at really just going through the masses and trying to get to a list that's more workable, and then we'll get on the hard sell. And we've started those conversations too. We've probably had 3 or 4 of the closing kind of calls with agents and players over the last little bit as well to try and get some of these things done. I would guess in the next month, sometime in that timetable, announcements will start coming about players that'll be joining us.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, USL in general is adding in promotion and relegation. How is that going to? How are you preparing for that? Because I mean, you guys, if you dominate, could end up in USL champions, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. I don't know if it's been firmed that this is happening on
Right.
this date yet. I think
Yeah.
it's still in the exploratory stages and discussion stages. I think if they're able to pull it off, it's incredible for the league. It's incredible for the game in our country. I don't know how much you guys watch of football around the world, but some of the most exciting games ever are the relegation battles where a team is fighting to go up or fighting to stay up. Um, the drama that's there. These are expensive games where budgets and jobs and everything is on the line, and it's really incredible to watch this. Every game, no matter where you are in the table, brings with it its own pressures, and so that's great on the developing players because they can't just take if you go in, not to you name a league, but if in the MLS, if there's, I don't know, 12 teams out of one side of the country that get in, it's a pretty generous playoff slice, right?
Mhm.
And so not easy to get in, but it is pretty generous to get in. And so if you are trying to stay up and fight for something at the end or go up, even more exciting, that's pretty cool. I think that would be an amazing thing. And so if that comes to pass, great. But look, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is just be as competitive as we can be on the day in, day out. I'm kind of boring as a coach because I'm very much on the day. I want to win today, and then we're going to worry about tomorrow, and whatever comes next, we'll worry about it down the road. If we can just be good on the day, we're going to be okay the next day.
Right. No, that's a great philosophy. Although I will say, I do remember at our first after season party, you talking about winning a championship 10 years down the road, and everybody looked at you and go, he made a promise. And you have come very close. I will say last year, if it weren't for the fact that our part of the bracket was so difficult, like I
Mm.
think you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
could have made a huge run.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I thought over the last 3 years, we were probably one of legitimately the best teams in the country. But the USL2 league is so interesting because it's not real. It's like it's a full year season crammed into 2.5 months. Um, and the player pool they're not your players. You're borrowing them from colleges and universities around the way. And so they're coming to play for you, but they're not really coming to play for you. They're coming to stay fit to go back and play in their college team. And so it can be a very individual, maybe even selfish kind of league where they're just using you as a platform to get their name out there, to stay fit, and then get back to their college team. And so some teams, if they're trying to be the best USL2 team, They solved this problem by over-signing. They'll roster like 60 players. If you go look at the Bucks, who we played the last 2 years or 3 years in the playoffs, they'll roster 50, 60 players on their roster. And so when there's churn in the roster and turnover or guys leave early, there's always a group of players that are ready to. And we could have gone that direction, but what we've done, because our goal was never to be the best USL2 team, it was to use the experience to get ready for USL1. We, of course, wanted to win. We're trying to win, but that wasn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal was to put systems, processes, things in place so that we make the move that we're making now, we're ready for it. You know, having a roster of 60 is not going to help me next year when we have a roster of 20. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we've got to learn how to manage a smaller roster and take things through step by step. And I was more concerned with how are we training? How are we traveling? How are we handling the details of running a team so that, again, that translates to what's happening now, because going up was always the goal.
Right.
Yeah. But we had a great team and played a lot of games. And if you're a Fort Wayne FC fan, you saw a lot of wins, which is exciting for them. And it's actually kind of funny because we set such a high standard that if we would tie a game, the crowd would just rumble after a game. Like everybody would say, "What's wrong with you guys? You just tied a game, or God forbid you lost one game." And it's like, yeah, we lost
Yeah.
one game out of, I don't know, what did we lose? Like maybe 3 games in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? So we've been doing okay. You know what I mean? But it's a great pressure because we set a high standard for ourselves. So I'm happy.
Yeah. No, I did want to ask. So, when you were having to move players because people would leave and come and go, I mean, I didn't see it a lot, but were you ready to completely change like formation tactics and stuff like that?
Not
Or
really. I
did
mean,
you try to find people that would plug into that?
we tried to develop an identity as a team so that we always looked like us, no matter who was playing on the day. And so that's one of the things I was most proud of. If we played an exhibition game, or if we were forced into a lot of changes because of injury, or other people were in and out because of some travel things, whatever it was, could we still play the same way? And I thought that we were actually pretty good at doing that. We always kind of looked like a Fort Wayne team. And so, you know, I'm not one that wants to make too many adjustments based on the opposition. I would much rather be good at what we do and let them deal with us. And so, you know, as a kind of coaching philosophy, of course, video and scouting and all the things are important as we prepare for an opponent, but I'm more concerned with who we are and what we're doing and getting that.
Right. No, I noticed that a little bit, but I did want to ask because I do know that that's kind of, it's hard to, when you're moving players that much, and that's just a minor league sports thing of moving players up and down
Sure.
in other
Yeah.
leagues and stuff like that. So did you guys, when you would have players, did you know ahead of time that players would probably be leaving at a certain point and have people ready to go to come in at that point?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do a lot of replacement of players at the end. We would just kind of have an attrition towards the end of the season. We would add 1 or 2 players, but I don't think over the years we added more than 1 or 2 per season. But we would try and stay as far ahead of it as we could. Obviously, those were conversations that before they agreed to come to us, we'd say, "What is your calendar? What is it that you know? When do you have to leave? Is there anything in the middle that we have to be aware of?" All these questions we tried to get ahead of. But look, they're people, and they're young people, and maybe sometimes not the greatest communicators. That's maybe a surprise to learn that a 21-year-old's not the greatest at communication. But they were pretty good about it. But inevitably, you would have something come up. Like we had players last year that got called in for, you know, a 2-week trial with an MLS team, or to go train with a national team. These are incredible opportunities. We can't say no to them. You know, you
Right.
can't.
No.
You're not going to say, "Look, hey, don't go. We have a game against Dayton tomorrow." You
Yeah.
know, it's like, "Go. Let's go. This is what we're here for. Like, how do we help you?" Right? And then it lets somebody else have an opportunity that maybe would have had the opportunity. So you got to be, you know, that next man up philosophy has to happen.
Yeah, and we've had some NBA G League GMs, and we've had other hockey GMs, and they've all said the same thing, that the goal is to help people keep moving forward in their path
Sure.
and
Yeah.
help doing that. Um, so with your, do you prefer the college or the pro coaching position? Are there things you like about both and miss about both?
Yeah, I do. I think there's pluses and minuses in both. I really enjoy the college age kid. Look, in my own life, uh, college soccer was really important to my life, not just as an athlete, but as a person. It was I grew up in a family. I always joke around in some ways. My parents were basically two hippie kids that had kids. I was born in the '60s in Northern California. You guys can do the Google search up with that. But, and so, my my mom and my dad divorced when I was really young, which was not uncommon. And my mom and I moved. I think I moved 15 times from the time I was in kindergarten to the time I was in high school. And it's a new school. It's a new neighborhood, new soccer team, constantly always on the go. Um, and my parents were both incredible people, but it was just a weird time in life. We were growing up in the '70s and the early '80s, where I didn't learn a lot about family from my family. That's just the honest truth, and at least the kind of family that I'm trying to raise today. And so those lessons about loyalty and commitment and trust and I learned all those things in my college soccer team. So that was a really important time in my life. And I like in the college system that educational aspect that's kind of built into the position. But what I have found is that you can still have those same kinds of relationships and mentoring kind of relationships at the quote unquote pro level that we've been into. It doesn't have to be just business and commodity and move people without relationship. I think you can still have a great impact, and they can have a great impact on me too. And so that's something that I take very seriously. The whole idea of using the game to teach life lessons and to learn things about ourselves that are much bigger than the sport. That's really important to me, and it will remain important to me. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation at Fort Wayne where they support those kinds of conversations that I have as well.
No, I still say one of the greatest photos I've seen of you is after, I think it was after we clinched the Valley the first time, of you being basically crowd surfed by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
team. That was a fantastic photo, and we'll probably pop that one up here if I can find it. But that that just
That was a good
shows,
night. Yeah, that was a
yeah,
good night. Yeah.
that just shows how much the players respect you. And I
Yeah, they're
mean, the
good. They're good guys. It's funny because in my side hustle life, the work I do some work on the side, and I work where I go out and speak to companies or teams and groups about team building kind of stuff. So I talk about it all the time, and I always show that picture. Maybe not that one, but a picture from one of the championship nights. And I would say to them, like, listen, when I look at this photo, what I could see is validation for a lot of hard work. I could see proof that I did a good job. I could see those kind of transactions that come from it. But when I look at it, what I really just see is, oh, look, there's Frenchie. It's me and my friends. You know what I mean? It's like I noticed this face and this relationship, that relationship, and it makes me feel good because of the relationships that we had. The winning is icing on the cake. You know what I mean? And so all of those things, are really still important to me, and I try and impart through my coach. And of course, look, our pursuit of competitive excellence is never changing. We always want to win. You've seen me enough on the sideline. I want to win games. You know what I
yes,
mean? But I don't want to do it at the cost of people. I want to do it with people. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yep,
and I hope that we can accomplish both those things. And that's what I've loved about this experience at Fort Wayne is it's really been where we've brought such incredibly diverse groups of people together, and in just 2.5 months turned them into really strong teams. That's a great accomplishment in and of itself.
yeah. No, I definitely have seen you on the sidelines in a heated battle. Most of the time you will look over at us and, like, smile or something at halftime, but there have been some heated ones where, like, I noticed nobody talks to you as you walk back to the locker room and stuff like that, because you
That's
are
silly, isn't
super
it? You know what I
focused.
mean? Like it's like
Yep,
but you are like we're trying to win.
yep,
There's nothing. I'm not afraid of saying that too. We
right.
want to win. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of playing the game, is to put the ball in the net more than the other team. Like, so,
100%.
uh,
Yeah.
but You guys have had some phenomenal goaltending over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
How have you found these goalies that have been so good?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been lucky in a way, but it's also we've had great goalkeeping training. Jeff Ritchie was with us for the first few years. He's a local goalkeeper coach, did an amazing job. And then last year we had Max Rose that was with us, and he did an amazing job. And so, look, these are very talented players that come in, but we also put them in a great environment. And so, and to be fair, they've played behind really good defenses as well. They'll be the first to tell you that too. And so they've limited the work that they have to do somehow because our team defends really well, but probably the most ignored fact of it is our team keeps the ball so well. And so it's hard to give up a goal when you have the ball. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's been something else where we don't turn it over very easily.
Right. I will say the way you guys will move the ball around the box and cross it is phenomenal. I've only really seen a lot of European teams do that as well as you guys have, and it's a testament to your coaching and how well that team is built. But yes, like you said, you hold on to the ball, and it's hard to score when you're
It's,
not on defense.
there's a lot of different ways to play, and none of them are right or wrong. But
Right.
we try, and possession is important to us. I was on a call just before we got on here with a prospective player, and he was asking like, "What's our philosophy?" And I said, "Look, it's all about having the ball. When we have it, we want to share it, we want to keep it, we want to move it, we want to pass it. When we don't have it, we want to get pissed off and win it back really quickly. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're mad when we don't have it, and when we have it, we want to value it and keep it. And a lot of teams say that, but it really takes some courage and some bravery to tell your defenders, don't just kick it down the field as far as you can. Play a 5-yard pass into the midfield, even if he's got a little pressure on him. Trust him. Give him the ball. Trust him. If you stand next to us on the sideline, you hear that a lot. Trust him. Trust him. Trust him. There he is. Trust him. And so there's some bravery that has to come with that, and some re-education in some cases, because we have players that come from incredible college soccer programs that we have to almost reteach some things about how to play, because they're in their environment, they feel pressure, they play, just get rid of it. In our environment, bring on the pressure because we're going to play through it. We're going to be brave in how we play.
Yeah. So what was it like making that transition from college coaching to semi-pro soccer? Because that's what USL League 2 is considered. I mean, luckily you were still dealing with college-age kids. But,
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
Yeah, there's some differences for sure. Most of it actually is in the positive, because college soccer is such an interesting thing because you're always up against a time clock. Like on a daily basis, those kids have got to go to class. You know what I mean? So if you're training at 7 in the morning till 9 o'clock, half of them are running out right at 9 o'clock because they've got a class they've got to get to. Or on the if you're at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they've got an evening class they have to get to. They have a study session, tutoring session. Your time with them is very limited, actually. In our world, we're done when I say we're done. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we don't have to worry about some of those outside competing pressures. So I tell the players all the time, listen, we're going to get 90 minutes worth of work done today. If it takes you 90 minutes or 3 hours, that's up to you. We're going to get 90 minutes worth of work done today. And so you have the luxury of saying, look, we're not done yet. Stay out here. Let's go a little bit longer. So I enjoy having a little bit less compressed schedule, not so many things competing for their attention, and really kind of digging in and focusing on what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Right.
So, Mike, who's your favorite player?
That's a great question, because it changes all the time. It's like your favorite song, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the mood, and if we could talk about eras or whatever. But I would probably go to Zidane. I think Zidane was kind of a player that when I was, coming up, he's younger than me, but as I was just starting to get into coaching when he was really in his heyday, and he was just so calm when he plays.
Before the headbutt.
Yeah, even just pre and just after the headbutt again. You know what I mean? Like he had this demeanor about him. Like he would receive a ball, flick it over someone's head, spin around it. It looked like he just chilling. You know what I mean? Like he was such an incredible blend of athleticism, creativity, and just really beautiful the way he played. So I always enjoyed watching him play.
So there's that big GOAT debate between Ronaldo and Messi. What
Yeah.
is what is your input?
Yeah. So it's a no-brainer for me. And listen, I want both of them in my team. So let's just start there.
Yeah,
You're
let's
splitting
make
hairs
that
between-
happen.
Yeah, splitting hairs between the two best players in the world. For me, Messi is my kind of player. There's something about Ronaldo, the way he has to turn all the attention to himself, that sometimes rubs me the wrong way. But he's incredible what he pulls off. So, he's
I mean,
incredible.
some could point that at the Jordan and LeBron debate about Jordan making his team better and LeBron having to be about him. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just me though. But
Yeah, but again, you're splitting hairs. But like
Yeah.
if I'm encouraging my young players or my kids to watch an athlete, I just think the way Messi carries himself through a game is incredible, and what he does is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As a player. But Ronaldo, again, he'll have to somehow, and it's a persona almost, because you can't have that kind of attention on you and not have to come up with a defense mechanism for it, right?
Right.
And so he just turns into this superhero kind of character and brings all the attention on himself. But incredible, both of them. We grew up in a great era to watch the game with those guys.
Absolutely.
No. So, sorry, did somebody else have something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask okay, so out of all your years of playing, when did you realize you wanted to be like a coach? Like when did it like pop into your head?
Yeah. So I got into coaching, not by accident for sure, but almost just kind of, I didn't know what else to do. It was I was playing at the time. I'm old enough that the MLS was not an option for us, and so when I came out of college, if you were going to play in an American league, which I did, the initials of the league changed every summer. You would have to travel to some interesting teams and places. You were talking about making, a couple $100 a game. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a real career option at the time. So you could play in the indoor leagues, which I played a little bit in the professional indoor leagues. And I grew up in California. My very first indoor soccer game was a professional game. We never played growing up because we didn't have to. We didn't have to go inside to play. And so it was just such a different game. I didn't really enjoy it quite as much. Or you would have to go overseas, and I did a little bit of that too. I played in Sweden for a little bit. But it was, I got to the end of that time, and it's like I didn't have the family structure support where I could chase a professional playing career for too long. I had to get a job. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I had an opportunity to go to graduate school in Wichita Falls, Texas, a small little town up in the panhandle of Texas. I was the assistant soccer coach, got my master's degree paid for, and there was a team nearby that I could play for at the same time. So I kind of just got into it that way, and then really fell in love with the coaching part of it. I surprised myself in some ways because I didn't know that that's something that I really wanted to do. But I really enjoy the teaching aspect of it. The relationships, as I told you before, that's really fun to me. Look, I'm 58 years old. I've been on a soccer team every day of my life since I was 4.
Long
And
time.
so it's a lot of team. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
the only thing I really know is this. And so someone will say, well, like, my son and I had dinner tonight. He's 21. He's a senior in college. And he's like, I don't know what I want to do. I said, dude, I don't know what I want to do yet, for real. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what you're saying. I've just
Yeah.
been fortunate that I can stick around the game long enough and figure out a way to turn it into a career. I've been very lucky that way.
Yeah.
So as a coach, how much do you take stock in the statistics of the game compared to other aspects of coaching?
Yeah, it is certainly newer. The all of the different data that comes your way, physical data, tactical data, and I'm trying to be as progressive as I can with it, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like there again a rabbit hole that you can go down that I'm not quite sure is valuable to me. Like sometimes I'll look at it and say, okay, that's interesting, but what does it mean for what we do tomorrow, right? But we are very lucky in Fort Wayne because Oliver Gage, who we just hired as our sporting director, is an analytics person. He comes from a data background, and so he can take my crazy ideas about the game and translate them into some sort of data to put into the computer, and it can kick out lists of players so we can go from 1,000 players to 20 players pretty quickly just for looking for different performance indicators that he can put into that are measurable somehow. It's really helpful for sure. And so I think if we can have a marriage between the eye test for me, I'm old school. Like I'll grab the phone and call people and talk to them about a player and watch the player, and they can do their stuff on the computer, and hopefully we can marry the two lists together and come up with something that's really interesting. And then the same with the physical data that so there's so much now. Like I don't want to turn the players into robots, and but at the same time, I don't want to be silly about something because that's how we used to do it. You know what I mean? Like you guys are all old enough to know, like you've been in high school and they would have said like, we're going to have hell week for preseason and we're going to run people
Yep.
for, 3-4 practices a day and don't get any water. Look, we all know that that stuff is nonsense. And there's so much that we've learned over the years that that's not a good way to treat the athlete. Right. Um, and I'm constantly learning new tweaks about training methodology and how you periodize the week to make sure they're at peak performance on the weekend and limit injury, all the stuff that we want to do. And so it's all really interesting to me, but it's still not second nature to me. You know what I mean? So I need a little coaxing sometimes from the staff that understands it a little bit better, but I'm wide open to it.
Right. So, how's it been working with DeMarcus on that? How much have you gotten to learn from him, and how much has he brought to the table uh in this journey?
Oh, he's an amazing person. He's it's probably he's probably the most humble superstar you've ever spent time around, um, which is an incredible testament to his parents and his family. And you meet his mom and dad, and you can see exactly why he is the way that he is too. They're just good people at the end of the day. He has got such incredible background. He's been in rooms that I've never been in stadiums I've never been in. And so I always try and listen and pick his brain for things but he's also so respectful that he doesn't want to overstep his own bounds and wants me to do my job that I'm hired for too. And so we have to sometimes pull it out of him a little bit because, he's trying to let you do your job. But at the same time, it's like, look, Bees, I know you have an opinion about this. Like, tell me what it is that you think. And so again, he's been a great partner in this thing, and he, he's in, like, people don't understand, I think sometimes, but his sleeves are rolled up and he is working for this, and it's not just a passion project for him. It's a point of pride for him. He is fiercely proud of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he wants to put on something for his community that people can be proud of, that brings attention back to the place that he grew up. So he's been great, man. Like I said, he's a great partner. He's a great ambassador for the game. His connections are not just national but global. But you would never know it when you met him, right? Because he's just such a nice, down to earth individual, which we all should be, right? And so he's a great role model to have. And every once in a while, we can get him up in front of the team and tease him into talking about something. You know what I mean? And he'll tell these incredible stories, and the guy's jaws are on the floor because of what he talks about. And so he has a lot to offer to them too, and he's lived it. He knows exactly what they're going through.
Right. No, I remember the first time we did we did the walkthrough through the stadium for the first game day there
Yeah.
at Bishop Dwenger, and he just walked right up to us and just introduced himself. And I
Yeah.
know that I kept things professional, but my little middle school me that watched him playing in the World Cup several times was like,
Yeah, yeah,
holy
yeah.
crap, it's
Yeah.
DeMarcus. But
Yeah, and then again, he's a really all the success that he had as a player was well earned and well deserved, and the success that he's now having in the second part of his career, he's earned it. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
it's just he works so hard. He's humble. He's a great reminder to all of us, really, about it.
Yeah. Did that happen to influence your decision when you were taking the job that he was?
Actually, when I took the job, he wasn't involved.
That's right.
Yeah, he came on board almost a year later. The first season that we were supposed to play, COVID won that season.
That's right.
Yeah, and then he came in involved afterwards. Yeah, so I knew a lot of people that knew him. We have a lot of friends in common through the game, but I had never met him. And so, like I said, he's been we worked very closely together over the last 5 years, and he's been incredible to work with.
Yeah. So when you guys start signing players, are you guys in a league that can extend out contracts over the years, or is it
Correct,
still just
yeah.
a 1 year and done?
Yeah, no, there's different. Well, you'll create a contract with the player, and so what the length of contract is. There's some collective bargaining agreements that you have to abide by. You can't offer players contracts less for like a week, or you know what I mean. Like they have to. They're guaranteed for a year if they sign a full contract with the team. Most contracts are written like with a year option kind of guarantee, but there's different variations, and we're getting into all of the best way for us to build it out. I think I was looking through it. On average, most teams in USL League One have about 18 players full time under contract. Okay, and then they fill in with academy players, which means young players that they can sign to the club, but they're still college eligible and they're not quite full pros yet. Or short-term contracts. So there's some 25-day contract options that are out there for a short-term plug-in fix. But you can't sign a player to more than one 25-day. If you sign them a second time, it's got to be a year. It's got to be for the rest of the year.
Gotcha.
So there's some
there's no
protections.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's some protections in place for the player. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys are still in a league where it's just when they sign a contract for a year, they're there for a year, and then they're free to go wherever they want to.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you sign them to longer, you can sign them to longer. Yeah.
You can. Okay.
Yeah. And again, so from a business side of it, I mean, the ideal situation for us is that we identify a player, we sign them to whether it's a year or 2 years, it doesn't really matter the length, but sometime during the contract, we're able to push them on and up, because then the club will make some money from the sale of the player. So
nice.
Yeah. So that would be an ideal world for not your whole team, obviously. For me as a coach, you don't want to turn them over every.
Right.
Look, we don't want to be a player's last stop. We want to be their next stop on their way to. It's the level that we're at. We want to be realistic about that. We want them to be on their way to something bigger and better. You'll have some guys on the other end of their career that maybe are coming back for one more stop, which is great too. And some guys will play in Fort Wayne as the highest level they ever achieve, and that's great too. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but there's going to be some segment of your roster that you're hoping to push up to another level.
Yep. Now, do you guys have a certain amount of veterans that you can sign too? Like depending on how many games they've played?
What do you mean by that?
Like however many years they've been in, like say USL 1, and they've been there for a while. Is there only a certain amount of people like?
No, there's no age restrictions or experience restrictions to it. The only kind of demographic restriction to it is that you're only allowed 7 international players.
Oh.
Yeah, which is fewer than we've had, because in League 2 you could have 13 international players.
Wow.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It's fewer, but it's a smaller roster as well.
Gotcha.
Right. Do you have a salary cap?
No, but it'll be club imposed basically by what you want to spend.
Right.
So Messi's not out of the picture.
No salary that the players can move. Yeah, Messi's coming. He's in. Don't worry about it.
You heard it here first.
He might be 72 by the time he gets here, but we're going to get him into the game.
Yeah.
Oh, you meant Lionel Messi. I was talking about the other Messi. Yeah, the George.
Yeah, okay.
Messi. Yeah, he from Toledo. Yeah, that one. But there are league minimums. You're only the players can't make less than certain amounts, and there's structures in place. You're not going to get rich playing in the league for sure, but they can make a living and be a full-time professional player.
Now, do you benefit from loan? Like, can players be loaned? Like, can you take them Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. We've had some conversations already with some MLS clubs and other clubs about taking players in on loan. And it's just got to make sense. And again, it's an interesting concept because, it has to make sense for us and for the club that's doing the loaning, um, where, they're not going to loan you a player if you're not intending to play them, number one.
Right.
But if
Right.
you play them and they do really well and they get sold on to another club, you don't get any money from that. So really, what do you get from that? You know what I mean? You
Right.
might
Yeah.
get a short-term plug-in as, to fill in with a good player for sure. But
hmm
there all these different things, and so there's various ways to maneuver that make it worthwhile for both parties. And that's where we're really fortunate because Oliver Gage has experience in this world with he was at the USL Championship before, so he's done all these kind of deals before. So really helpful.
So, do you have any aspirations of moving up to maybe MLS or international or any
Are
of
you talking
that?
about for me
Yeah.
or yeah? I don't know. I mean, would I turn down an opportunity to do that? Probably not. But is that what I'm trying to do right now? Not really. I just want to be the best coach that I can be at Fort Wayne, you know,
Right.
um, and see where that takes us from there. I've done a lot of climbing in my career, and I'm fortunate enough now where I'm at kind of not I'm look I'm not going to roll over and die tomorrow. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm certainly closer to the end of my career than I am at the start of my career.
Right.
Um, and I'm just trying to do the best job that I can, and as long as I enjoy it, keep going forward with it. I love being on the field. I like coaching. These stretches of time without being on the field drive me nuts, to be honest with you. And so I like to be around the game and to be around the team, and so where that takes all of us, who knows? I guess the best answer to that question would be I would love to have done well enough to have an opportunity, and I would like to be enjoying my job so much that I say no to it. You know what I mean? That would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ideal way.
Well, I mean, we want to keep you in Fort Wayne.
For
We
sure.
Yeah.
love having you here. But do you have any advice or any words of encouragement or anything for people that are looking to get into coaching soccer
Yeah.
or any sport, really?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a generational advice in some ways, but when I was coming up, you had to apprentice basically. You had to work as an assistant, a volunteer assistant, a non-paid assistant, whatever you could do to get your foot in the door and work for good people and kind of work your way up. And it seems like now people are trying to shortcut the process and they just want to jump into the head job, you know.
Right.
And it just doesn't work that way. Actually, I'll tell you a story. When I was coaching at Notre Dame, I had a guy that I actually coached earlier in my college career when I was at Bethel. He was now probably in his 20s and he wanted to get into college coaching. So he's coming to see his old coach who's now working at Notre Dame. And so I'm sitting in the office, and during the time that we met for about an hour. We were also preparing to do a summer camp for youth players. Okay. And so I was in the office tri-folding camp brochures and stuffing them into envelopes, thousands of them. Fold stuff, fold stuff, as we're talking about how he gets into his coaching career. You know what I mean? And I remember he stopped like in the middle of the conversation, just kind of stared at what I'm doing. And I said, "Look, man, this is it." You know what I mean? Like, the games are super exciting at the highest level. The stadiums are beautiful. The uniforms are nicer. All that stuff's true. But at the end of the day, the work is the work, and you have to be willing to do the work. And I think it's important that people remember that, because I think we forget and we assume that you can just like go past those steps, and you can't. You have to be willing to do the work. And so that my advice would be for people to just get around a good staff and try and learn as much as you can. And don't try to move so quickly. Do a good job where you are and trust that that will be recognized and opportunities will come.
Yeah. We have been asking this of our guests because we are a minor league sports based podcast. What do minor league sports mean to you?
Yeah. I think they're great. I mean, I think they're romantic in some ways. There's a a realness to it that sometimes you forget about, even in soccer. So 2 weeks ago, I spent like 3 days with the Chicago Fire. I was with their first team coaching staff. I was just a fly on the wall. I went to practice. I was at meetings. I did the whole kind of 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, two days in a row with them. Really fun experience, right? They're in $100 million training facility. Every single thing is accounted for them.
Yeah.
Every blade of grass was perfect. Every ball was shiny. The cleats were clean. Like everything was just perfect. Meals were prepared. Like you're walking around and it's like, this is so comfortable in here, right? But I think what happens is that if a young kid gets into that environment young because they're talented, they would have a really hard time going back to the real world from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think what I like about minor league sports is the humility of the players sometimes, where they're still striving and hungry and they're passionate about it, but they're not playing for the money. They're playing because they love it and they're trying to get somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's just a real honesty about it that I really enjoy.
That's cool. That's
I think
cool.
because they trash talk the fans sometimes.
And the connection's great. Look, again, someone who's a fan of a minor league team at any sport, right? I love that because, again, you live and die with your team, and you know what I mean. And again,
No
it's
matter
easy.
who's on it.
It doesn't matter, and the names change, and you're always kind of, and you can follow them in their career when they go on to somewhere else, and I think it's a really great connection between community and the club or the organization that you're supporting. And I think Fort Wayne's, look, it's proven it in other sports for sure, with ice hockey, with baseball, basketball for that time. It's a great market for what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big enough city. You've got media coverage. We're covered by the media in Fort Wayne way more than we would be if we were in Chicago or in, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Indianapolis. Even. They come, they have cameras out. You feel like you're part of the show, and I love that the community embraces their sports teams as well.
I mean, heck, I think we've covered the Windy City Bulls in the G League more than Chicago probably has.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I like about working in minor league sports in both the G League and USL is just the fact that all of the staff, no matter where you're at, have all been tight knit. And like, I know if this were MLS or the NBA, I would not have gotten anywhere close to talk to you if you were the coach and I was running a section of that. Like we made a bump shoulders, but wouldn't have like gotten nearly as close as we have. And I think the fact that it's a tight knit family in minor league sports is just, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And again, I think there's a real honesty to it. It's not clouded by multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yep.
There's a love of the game, the sport, providing entertainment for the community. I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, are you going to any of the World Cup games since they're here?
No, I'm not planning to. I mean, I would need a raise to get a ticket. I've seen the ticket prices.
Yeah.
But
I think the
I'm
cheapest
really
one's
excited about it.
1,400.
I'm certainly going to be a fan of it, and I might sneak into a stadium here or there along the way. But some of that we'll see, because obviously we'll be playing too.
Right.
The how they kind of accommodate our schedule around the World Cup will be interesting to see. I don't know the answer to that.
I think it'd be cool to have like a Team USA watch party at Fort Wayne FC Park on that giant Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be sweet.
I'm pretty sure that's been discussed. I have a feeling Scott Sproat has not let that one go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Kevin, can I ask one more question before we hit
go
the
ahead.
closing segment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
also have one more.
All right.
when you started coaching, what coach did you look up to the most for, information about the job and, all that good stuff? And what professional coach did you really think that changed the game?
Yeah. So my college coach has always been, for me, kind of my biggest kind of source of inspiration. And he he was a young guy when he was coaching us. Like, he didn't seem like it when I was a player, but I look back now in the rearview mirror, and he's only like 10 years older than I am. And so we've evolved into more like a friendship now. Like, we're still very, very close, and I still talk to him all the time. And so he was a great mentor for me. He's one that actually got me kind of pushed into the very first assistant coaching job that I had. And so I still talk to him all the time, like weekly. And he's been great. And the coaches that I worked for, I worked for not just Bobby Clark and Ken Lola. I was at Notre Dame, Louisville. Those guys are still people that I would rely on. But other coaches that I've been around, other assistants that I've shared time on staff with, you can learn from anybody. You know what I mean? And so the other benefit that I have, and I maybe mentioned it earlier, but my wife's a really successful coach as well as a profession. And so we have these really ridiculous conversations at home where she talks to me about her team and I answer with something about my team, and we just talk kind of at each other and not to each other. It was great actually when we were both coaching college. This is a college coaching thing for sure that is a kind of a pain in the neck, but they are in that age where alcohol situations can come up on the weekends, right? So we would be at home and you would get a Friday night phone call at like 3 a.m, and then you'd say hello and say, "Is Coach Avery there?" And then you'd go, "Which one?" And then you would pray that it's the other one. Like the volleyball coach, I'd be like, "Yes, it's you, honey." I'd roll over and go back to bed. So there was a lot that you can actually share. You know what I mean? It's nice to have someone that kind of understands what you're going through, because the thing about coaching, which is I don't think people really understand, it's a lonely job. Coaching is a really lonely business because if you think about it, you always have to communicate confidence up the food chain. So to your bosses, you communicate confidence. Your assistants end up telling you what you want to hear because there's a group think that happens. You spend so much time together. Your family doesn't want to hear about it at all, so you try not to bring your work home. And then your friends tend to be other coaches because that's who you spend most time with on the road, recruiting and other things. So they're your competitors too. So you only go so deep in conversation with them. There's really no one to talk to about stuff that's going through your mind, right? And so, having your spouse that understands and is willing to listen to you vent about this player, that player, whatever, is really, really valuable. So that's the long answer to the first part of the question. The second part of the question was, I think, which coach has changed the game? Is that what you've asked?
Yeah, like in the professional ranks, like MLS and overseas.
Well, even I think for me, Pep is incredible. Pep Guardiola. What he's done in our era right now in the last 10, 15 years with Barcelona and then now with Man City, it's remarkable. You know what I mean? And he's one of these guys where, because I have access, like you can go on YouTube and watch every training session of every team around the world, right? And you see the activities that they do and how they train and the methodology that they employ. And he's one where you watch them do something, you just think, of course. Why didn't we do that? You know what I mean? Like,
why didn't I think of that?
Of course. You know what I mean? Like, you just watch and you're like, duh. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't we think of that? You know what I mean? And so he's been really remarkable to watch. And there's a lot. I think Jurgen Klopp in that little run with Liverpool was just such an incredible coach to watch. So actually, Liverpool came out to South Bend at Notre Dame probably about 3 or 4 years ago in the summer. They played a game. And they were at Notre Dame and they trained for about a week or so. And so I was able to get in and watch from up close on the sideline and spend some time around them. And he's incredible. Like his connection to his players, but he also comes across in the media as maybe being a little bit freewheeling and hands off and, hug the guys. And he's very German when he coaches too. He's got control of every single aspect of what they're doing all the time. I was just impressed with his kind of attention to detail and connection and relationship at the same time. So there's so many good ones out there. And I watch coaches from all sports. You know what I mean? Like Steve Kerr with the Golden State Warriors, I think he's a genius. People give him a hard time because he's only coached the best players in the world, but try that sometime. That's a real
Right.
talent to manage that kind of thing. And I just listened to how he talks to his players, and really, really incredible. There's a lot of people that have a lot of time for it. So
All right. So I know we've asked a lot of good questions, but this is probably going to be the best. What
Okay,
is
of course.
your
finally,
Yes, finally, but like the real question, this is what we came together for. What is your favorite stadium food that you have had in your coaching career?
Ryan has a segment called Ryan's Best Eats where he reviews stadium foods from across minor league sports. So
yeah.
this is where that's stemming from.
Minor league sports, I'm not sure I have an answer for that, because I'm usually coaching in the game. I
Right.
don't have
Naturally.
too
Right,
many
yeah.
things to
Right.
go sample. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge eater at the stadium. Like, I like to go watch the game. You know what I mean? But I have to think about that. I'd have to think about that one. I think it's hard to I was at the Wrigley Field just right before the end of the regular season. I watched the Cubs play the Brewers in the second to last regular season game of the year. And we had a hot dog and a beer on a beautiful summer day in Chicago, and there's really not much wrong with that. Like,
Yeah, nothing beats
No.
it.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
beats it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well
Oh.
then, we do always
Ryan,
close.
we're gonna have to maybe do some editing though. I'm not sure that was the best question.
I don't know what you're talking about. That might be the best question.
We'll
But,
keep trying.
Have you watched Ted Lasso, and what is your thought of it?
Yeah, I have. And I love it. I love the show. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's genius actually in so many ways. One of those shows when you go back and rewatch episodes like a second time through, just the writing in it is so smart, and the references in there are just so smart. And look, as a soccer coach, as someone who kind of preaches positivity and connection with his players, people will say that to me all the time. Oh yeah, you're just like Ted Lasso. I will take it as a compliment. You know what I mean? I'm happy to take it as a compliment. I hope I know a little bit more about the game than his character knows about the game.
Hmm.
But I think it's actually done a real great service in some ways to open up conversations about some really important topics. So
Yeah.
I'm all about
Well, and I also think it made soccer more popular in the United States because people got almost an inside look at, the Premier League, as well as stuff like what we talked about, relegation and promotion and stuff like that, which
100%. Yeah. And if you've watched the Wrexham,
Yes.
oh yeah,
it was on Netflix or whatever. It's on Hulu, I think, or whatever. Like those kinds of things give you like that. That's really, you watch some of those shows and you think, I feel that every day when you watch those kind of lower league teams building their way up.
yeah,
And you watch, Ryan Reynolds and Rob walk out onto a grass field and they're told that they have to reseed the whole thing because there's a disease in it, and their face just fall with how much it costs, because we live stuff like that on a daily
Right.
basis, like things that, when the washer machine breaks, it's not just, it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like there's things like that happen. So it makes it relatable in some ways too. So I think all these shows have been really fun to watch.
all right. Go ahead.
Sorry, last one. Do we think the the Fort Wayne FC Park or whatever it's going to be called is actually going to be done for the beginning of the season? Do you think that's going to happen?
Listen, I ask the question almost every time I talk to somebody that knows stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm being told that it's on track.
Okay, cool.
All
And
right.
so, look, we can't control the weather, and we've
Right,
been fortunate in the Midwest. We've had a really good stretch of weather, and so they've actually been working to get maybe caught up and even moving ahead. But if we hit bad weather coming up, who knows?
Right.
But so far, things look really good. Yeah.
Good. All right. So we always close with a closing question. So this will be the last one. We ask everybody, what is your favorite soccer memory from your entire span of playing, kid, all of that? So Dylan, we'll start with you, and then
Yeah, so I am a basketball person through and through.
Nice.
Barely anything about soccer, so I apologize. Oh, growing up, my pastor's kid was really big into soccer, so I kind of played with him in the backyard, I guess. I don't know. That's about as much as I got. I don't know. I'm sorry.
oh, good. All right, Colin.
Boy. Well, I don't know where to go with this, but anyways, my favorite memory of like soccer in general was just like Fort Wayne announcing a USL2 soccer team. So that was probably because I've never watched a soccer match in my entire life. I've always seen it on TV. But when I was part of the Fort Wayne FC Drummers, that was my first actual glimpse of a soccer match. And I will tell you, it's way better in person than it is on TV.
Yep.
We're
Right.
glad you're there, man. Yeah.
I have to go to my intramural soccer days in college when I scored a game winner in the championship game. Intramural soccer, yeah.
I would have to say, so I lettered in soccer in high school, and my favorite had to be this time where I saw our goalie out of position. It's probably the best play I played. I moved in and headed the ball out of the box, and I thought I just barely got it, but apparently I went from 18 to 18, from one box to the other, and it's like a war movie when you see like somebody and everything's talking like this. I see my goalie standing over my head and go, "Way to go, Marlo!" And I'm like, "What happened?" And this is before concussions were even thought about, so I probably should have been pulled off the field for a concussion there, but it was probably my favorite moment of playing defense and saving what would have been a goal. Mike, what about you?
We're talking about playing memories. It's funny. I don't remember the goals and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
wins even. I remember losses like yesterday. You know what I mean?
The losses sting.
Hey,
Always.
Yeah. And there was one in particular. I think about it actually still almost on a daily basis. Somehow it reminds me so much of because we were playing and it was a college game and we were going to the Final Four. If we won the game, we're going to make it to the Final Four, and we were losing the game 1-0. A team that we had beaten 6-0 earlier in the year, and it was one of those games where they scored early on a stupid goal against, and then we had all of the game, all of the ball, all the chances, and it just didn't feel real that the game was going the direction that it was going. And I literally, like, with time ticking down in my memory, like ran back to the goalkeeper, made them give me the ball at my feet, worked my way up the field, like almost like, come on, let's go, pass it to you, give it back to me, pass it to you, give it back, and just trying to lead this last push in. And I played the ball wide, and my teammate got to the corner and crossed it, and I could see the ball coming over, guys going up to head it and just skimming over their head, and I hit the most incredible volley that right when I hit it, I thought, this is the greatest goal in the history of soccer. Like you could feel the goal scream start in my stomach and raise up, all the way through, and the ball's beating everybody, and it's flying into the corner, and it just smashes the crossbar and lands almost all the way back at midfield. It hit so hard. And I just remember standing there in disbelief. You know what I mean? Like, this can't be how it ends. You know what I mean? And it's funny because you remember it now, because what I learned was, like, the next day, you know what? The sun came back up again. You know what I mean? Like, all of the disappointment that you felt in the moment kind of fades away, and what's replaced with it is memories. And you know what I mean? Then we can laugh about it now. I could talk to you about it without crying right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's a long time for that to happen. I think there's just so many things that you can learn from the good times and the bad times in the game, and you're stronger than a lot of it that you face
Right.
along the way. And so, again, it's silly. Like, I should remember every win that we had and every time I scored a goal along the way, but you don't. Like, it's those things. That's not what you think about.
Right.
Another point too. I'll make this because it reminds me of it. But last summer, I went on a reunion with my college teammates. We try to get together a couple times a year, but this was 35-year, I think, reunion from our college team. And we sit around this weekend at a house and, have a few drinks and a lot of laughs and a lot of stories. Do you know how many times we talked about soccer during that weekend?
0.
Zero. Not once. You know what I mean? Like it's about so much more than the games, you know?
Right.
And trust me, when I'm in it, it feels really important too, you know? And I'm in a job. Listen, I understand it clearly. If I don't win enough games, I have to find a different job. You know what I mean? I
Right.
understand the kind of the ins and outs of competition. You know what I mean? But it's about something that's so much bigger and more valuable than that. So
Right.
yeah, I think we're just lucky that we get to do what we love and
Yeah.
someone wants to pay for it. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anybody you'd like to shout out before we sign off for tonight?
No, everybody that supports us. Again, we couldn't do this without such a great community of support, and so hopefully we're going to get a lot of people out. I think it's going to be, you know, look, it's a new level, it's a new league. There's a lot of new challenges that we're going to face, but I think we're going to put together something that's pretty cool, and I hope a lot of people come out and support us.
Very cool. All right. Well, we want to thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and comment below if you've got a question for Mike. We'll try to get it to him and see if we can get it answered for you. But in the meantime, Colin, what do we say?
We can cue the music.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right.
Guys, thank you.